political. You recommend that a no-challenge recall contract be signed between the people and those they sent to represent them in government.
Yeah, I do.
No challenge recall contract.
Yes, I do.
Can you break that down?
So presently, our constitution for, I think for the Senate and the House of Rep and the state assemblies actually does have that condition where you can recall a member of the House for non-performance, as an example.
Yeah.
So you have elected the member, they've gone for 4 years, but within that 4-year term, the community or the constituency have the right to go back into the ballot and call the person back. That procedure is there. It's been shown recently. I'm not going to go into detail. So the law does allow that. What I am proposing now is for all the work that this community group can do for themselves, raise resources, raise funds to be able to look after things, call whoever is the local government councillor, the local government chairman, call them to order in the present dispensation. They can also independently come together and say, if you're going to get the support of this committee to back your candidacy, to run as a House of Assembly member, state rep, senator, you will go into this agreement with us that if you do not deliver on these issues, on these factors that we've discussed, when you get elected, you will not challenge our ability to recall you, which means presently the recall process gets started. People do indicate their interest. It gets approved by INEC. That individual has a decision to make. The elected representative or politician can go to a court of law to slow the process down.
Yeah.
And challenge that process. Okay. The only way that can be challenged if such individual, such elected official signs such contract with the community will be if it is actually true that the people that signed that document is not the same people that he had the agreements with in the first place. So for example, if you sign with the committee and preemptively you've already said, I will not challenge this recall, you've entered the contract. If it now comes to the time when the committee wants to recall you, you can't challenge that committee because you already have a binding contract with them. That will be recognized in a court of law. You agree to that. But the only position that INEC might take or a court of law might take is if it's not the same committee that you agreed to, or for some other reason, the committee is being usurped by some other political interest, which you will have to prove in a court of law. So you're now bound to defend the contract assigned, not to slow down the process of recall.
You also want the House of Representatives to be removed from the system.
No, I don't think that's what I propose.
Okay.
I propose a situation where, and this is very possible, those members and those various local communities, so I use the examples because I'm an Ibadan person, Bere.
Let me use your words. You said okay. Replace the House of Representatives altogether with members screened and elected from the organization.
Yes, and that's where I'm coming to.
Okay.
So the community in Bere or the various committees in different parts of Bere that come together on OJ and all that. So if this committee has been able to get to the point where we envision, so it's made up of trusted members. It's been able to train through talent management system as we propose in our document. It's been able to train born leaders. We can have a way where the present House of Rep members, or the present House of Rep as it is not actually political. Instead, it will be made of these trusted members that have ascended or shown their trustworthiness in the community. In such a way, the other proposal, the addition to that is they actually spend more of their time, the vast majority of the time. I think we propose about 70 to 80% of their time in the community rather than in the capital.
Will they be elected?
So they will still go through the process in the community where they are elected at that local community. That's what we propose. So the present House of Rep as it is now goes through the same process of election as for senators, relatively, and other politicians. But that House of Rep that we'll see will be one key factor where we elect people. Let's also remember that. When somebody comes to you or me and say, I want to run for Senate for your district, for your constituency, and you or myself or both of us vote for him, it's because we're entrusting him to be able to look after our issues. Now, if we look back to the beginning of the committee that we propose, these are people that we know at the community level, that based on what we know of them, of their character and person over the years, we can trust them. And for the fact that they still reside in the community, over the years, both the ones that they've been able to bring up through experience and themselves, we can trust them.
But the ones we elect, they live among us, we also know them.
We have no such control. Most of the time now, and the election of politicians now, just like in Nigeria, like most parts of the world, is not necessarily based on trust factors. It's not necessarily based on, it's supposed to be trust, character, being engaged in your community on a regular basis. You actually live there, you actually know what's going on, but we know that that's not the reality. So what this proposes is a set of people that the community is in regular contact with. They haven't just used their party affiliations or because they have done this project or that project, and they continue to be somebody that the community looks for. Say, if you go to that person's house, or if the person says, even to his own detriment, this is the way it's going to be, every single community, we all know people like that exist. They just would not have an opportunity in the present system that we have to be able to ascend to such positions.
For your proposal to fly,
yes,
don't you think we need constitutional reforms?
It's a yes or no. Yes, because it now raises different criteria for being able to vie for election. Our constitution presently says you must be a member of a party.
Yes.
The no is if the committee, so let's say we start, and we're looking at starting a pilot community now. Let's say that committee flies well, they do well, and they thrive. No member of that committee or the community that participates in all the work of the committee is being restricted from contesting for elected positions right now. So that person that is the community feels that they trust, if he now decides to contest on a platform of a party, automatically he will have the blessing of that community to vote for him because they know him, he's done well, they still maintain that level of trust. Hopefully, they will not distrust the party that he or she joins.
In your proposal, you talked about starting a universal health plan.
Yes.
With targets for the whole populace, including the poor, as a social business.
Right.
How would that fly?
When World Health Organization rates all the countries throughout the world nowadays for the top performing health systems, we often find that those that lead the group are often health systems that are socialized. In other words, it's based on government funding the healthcare system. But what we know is that there is no healthcare that is free, even in those countries. You pay into tax, the government, they just have more responsible government that looks after things like that. So what we're proposing is to have a system where people will actually be able to set up a business themselves, register it, contribute to it, put money into it, and that company actually runs the healthcare system. So in a way, you're still paying tax, but the tax or the amount of money you're paying is actually to that company that you've registered to look after healthcare throughout the community or throughout the nation. So it is not necessarily because it is dependent on government, which is the beauty of it. It is not then open to manipulation or looking after certain sections of the society. And because you and I are investing in that company, you and I are expecting the company to perform, and we're holding it accountable in terms of its performance for what it's delivering in terms of healthcare.
Who owns the company?
The people that contribute money. So let's say the community has 100,000 people, and if there is agreement in that community, they can form that company and register it and let the company run their healthcare insurance.
Who manages the company?
So they will manage the company just like any business. That's the factor.
What about they don't have the expertise?
They hire people, just like you and I, when we set up business, when I don't have the expertise, I hire people to run it. And that person runs it, and they have to give report and accountability to the way they are supposed to work and deliver the services that we expect them to do when they take those
positions. Is this what is called power to the people?
I have not looked at it that way in terms of, it sounds very, not a political person. But I've always strongly believed in people empowerment. I think it's a fundamental part of our progress and development as a nation. And I've always strongly looked at a lot of political agenda when I see politicians campaigning and contesting. And I'm always looking at which part of your manifesto, what you're planning to do, is actually directed to truly empowering people. And when they don't, I lose interest in such candidates. So yes, I strongly believe in people empowerment.
Have you started a pilot?
We are looking at a community in Ibadan now. We've met with that community. We've met with some of the leaders in that community. We are trying to seek funding to be able to help them. Now they've shown some interest. They've bought into the idea. And yes, there will be a pilot study. And hopefully we can be able to demonstrate to the rest of the states and the nation that this is actually something workable, as has been commented by many who have seen the program.
Okay, I will keep on following your progress
right,
as your plans unfold.
All right.
Dr. Tunde Ali, thank you for featuring.
Thank you very much.
On State Affairs.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.